Feel your wrists being pulled away from one another. But I see so many people with their arms up really high. I was always doing that too. One day I realized I'm really struggling to breathe. Drop the arms a little lower. We start putting ourselves back where we belong. Reach up. Yoga is beautiful because it teaches us, no matter how far down the wrong road you've gone, wake up and turn back. Right elbow to the front thigh. Arm reaching. Feel your wrists being pulled away from one another. Back to I see so many people with their arms up really high. I was always doing that. It's really hard to feel like it. One day I realized now it's starting to breathe. Started to really drop the arms a little lower. To feel the power of our from within. It's beautiful because it teaches us to reach out, no matter how far down the road.
In a straddle fold, take your hands behind your back, clasp your hands together, draw your shoulders down, firm up your legs, everything on the bottom, really squeeze it. Exhale, forward fold.
Your right elbow to the front thigh. It's really hard to feel like
every exhale you're willing to offer
your wrists. I was always doing that. It's really hard to feel like one day I realized people that are not feeling the power of it's really hard to feel like one day I realized I was trying to feel
the straddle from your arms a little lower.
Take your front foot.
Take your hands behind your back. Clasp your straddle together. Take your hands behind your back. Clasp your hands together. Straddle for your shoulders. Take your hands behind your back. Firm up your legs. Clasp your hands together. Draw your shoulders down. Exhale, every exhale, forward fold. Every exhale, straddle from your arms there, guys. Straddle from your arms behind your hands, behind your back. Straddle
So there was tremendous resistance from the men. But to the credit of the women, they all ganged up and they said that no, we want to do this. We have to do this, we want to do this, and we're going to go ahead.
पहले हमको विश्वास नहीं था कि ये काम इतनी बड़ी फैक्ट्री बनेगी और हम लोग इतने सालों तक काम करेंगे.
Discovered that together they could do what they could not do alone at the start. They associated themselves with fashion designers, international traders, and when their business became successful, they reinvested their profits in improving educational and health services for their children and their
शिक्षा दे रहे हैं. हर किसी औरत को इस संस्थान में आप देखिए कि धीरे धीरे मैं तो यहाँ सोच भी नहीं सकती थी कि 3 ऑफिस से मैंने काम किया कि आज भी बहुत फैसिलिटी और आप देखिए.
It's very easy to let power and fame go to one's head. There was a point of time where the Panchachuli women actually demonstrated that they could, at will, elect or throw out an MP and an MLA. There was that much power. There still is. That they were actually able to swing elections in whichever way they wanted to because of that power. And finally, it's not important.
It has a special significance in the history of the transatlantic slave trade. It was a departure point for thousands of West African captives. The capital, Freetown, was founded as a home for repatriated former slaves in 1787. It's a predominantly Muslim nation, though with a large Christian minority. Sierra Leone is ranked as one of the most religiously tolerant nations in the world. Sierra Leone is rich in diamonds and other minerals. It has a special the trade and telecast known as the blood diamond had a big role in funding points. In 2002, with the help of capital, the former colonial powers and a large United Nations peacekeeping Sierra Leone emerged from a decades of predominantly Muslim, predominantly large Christian. Sierra Leone is ranked as
funded by the European Community, the project implemented by the United Worldwide small business to self-help and helps them acquire
while breaking the palm nuts. So they ask concern to help them get a palm nut cracker.
The women of this community, yes, the women and stop
By the end of the season, they collected 20 bushels. 20 bushels. Each of them at that time. And the remaining 18 bushels.
passerà il 95% della crescita mondiale. Come potremo noi non avere un rapporto con quei paesi? Come possiamo noi non investire in quei paesi? Come possiamo noi rimanere fuori da un rapporto con loro, e questo potrebbe creare una marginalità dell'Europa.
With today's globalization, there is nothing that is not interlinked with others.
So we believe that investing in aid, because it's an investment, it's not only charity, is one of the smartest investments we can do.
Each year, hundreds of thousands of women die of childbirth in developing regions. Women dying of childbirth in the poorest countries is 200.
Non è che ne coglie l'oggettività, però se la costruisce mentalmente nella propria testa.
You rightly mentioned that some of these journalists, just as their Western counterparts, they don't want to learn from Africa, and even they don't have the zest to continue to learn, and they go ahead and just castigate so many things that are happening in Africa. Unlike others, they really want to come and learn. It's because of this preconceived notion they've held for Africans for the past decades, that Africans, they are backward and our culture is barbarian.
Concern has been working in Sierra Leone since 1996 to work with the local communities in partnership with local organizations, government institutions and other development partners to address key issues of poverty in terms of access to health services, access to education, particularly primary education, and food security.
1 in every 3 persons in Sierra Leone lives in the slums. Klein Bay is an urban slum near central Freetown, the capital city of Sierra Leone. Here once there was a fabulous beach, but during the civil war it became a slum of refugees and internally displaced persons. In fact, it still continues to host thousands of migrant workers, as well as the urban poor.
This is the bridge. Some sort of giving always fault of the others or something that is not being done at home. If we are able to overcome these suppositions and to understand that we need more to learn from each other, we've done a great deal.
Questa è la prima volta che vedo una televisiva occidentale che danno l'impressione per la Siria, non solamente la vecchia Siria. Voi fate un reportage, un documentario molto bello per
so knowingly, unknowingly destroying the environment. So what became...
They associated themselves with fashion designers, with international traders, and when their business became successful, they reinvested their profits in improving educational and health services for their children and their communities.
Then we decided to make production centers instead of having small units in the villages and make it more professional. And so we made one big production unit with 300 odd women in the industrial estate around near Almora, and then several other smaller production units in the villages.
हमारा ऐसा भी नहीं है कि बहुत अमीर इलाका भी नहीं है, गरीब इलाका है, जिससे वो औरतें उनके हर घर के चूल्हे जल रहे हैं और अच्छे बच्चों का लालन पालन कर रहे हैं, अच्छे स्कूल में एडमिट कर रखा बच्चों को, अच्छा उनको शिक्षा दे रहे हैं। हर किसी औरत को इस संस्था में जुड़ने में फ़ायदा ही हुआ है, नुकसान किसी को नहीं हुआ है। और आदमी पे दबाव में औरतें काम करती थी या आदमी कभी शराब पी के आए तो उसकी भी सुननी पड़ती थी, लेकिन आज वही आदमी भी कुछ सुधर गया है कि भैया देखो मेरी औरत कमा के ला रही है तो मैं ये क्या कर रहा हूँ। तो औरत राशि कुछ तो कह सकती है, इसमें औरतों का मतलब काफ़ी योगदान है। आज देखिए कि धीरे धीरे मैं तो सोच भी नहीं सकती थी कि 3 औरतों से मैंने काम किया कि आज इतनी बड़ी कंपनी लालन पालन कर रहे हैं और आज देखिए देखते देखते इतनी बड़ी कंपनी बन चुकी है, उनको शिक्षा दे रहे हैं। हर किसी औरत को इस संस्था में जुड़ने में फायदा ही हुआ है, नुकसान किसी को नहीं हुआ है। आदमी पे दबाव में औरतें काम करती थी या आदमी कभी शराब पी के आए तो उसकी भी सुननी पड़ती थी, लेकिन आज वही आदमी भी सुधर गया है।
Chair and position, you know, there's a certain time when one has to let go and let the second and the third line of leadership evolve.
आज देखिए कि धीरे-धीरे मैं तो सोच भी नहीं सकती थी कि 3 औरतों से मैंने काम किया कि आज इतनी बड़ी कंपनी पालन कर रहे हैं और आज देखिए देखते-देखते इतनी बड़ी कंपनी कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच शिक्षा दे रहे हैं और आज किसी औरत की इस संस्था में जुड़ने में फायदा ही हुआ है और अब मैं अगर छोड़ दूँ या बात मुझे इसका कोई वो नहीं है कि दबाव में औरतें काम कर रही हैं या आदमी के विश्राम किया है तो उसकी भी सुननी पड़ती आज वही आदमी सुधर गया है
There was a certain time when there's a certain time actually demonstrated that they could let the second and third line of leadership evolve.
आज देखिए कि धीरे-धीरे मैं तो सोच भी नहीं सकती थी 3 औरतों से मैंने काम किया कि आज मुझे कंपनी पालन कर रहे हैं और आज देखिए देखते-देखते कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच शिक्षा दे रहे हैं और आज किसी औरत की इस संस्था में जुड़ने में फायदा ही हुआ है और अब मैं अगर छोड़ दूँ या बात मुझे इसका कोई वो नहीं है कि दबाव में औरतें काम कर रही हैं या आदमी के विश्राम किया है तो उसकी भी सुननी पड़ती आज वही आदमी सुधर गया है
We really wish that this video report will spread the story of these women, of their successes and their challenges, of their achievements and their learning, and that it will inspire other women to gain confidence and be protagonists of their lives.
Development has to be redefined first. One has to go out, talk to and get the definition of development from those who development is for. And development is not only for me, it's for a large section of population who is not like me living in a comfortable house. It's for people in rural Rajasthan, for Jharkhand, at least that's what it's supposed to be in terms of policy. So we need to get out there and ask them what they need.
Sierra Leone is a small country in coastal West Africa, bordering Guinea to the north and east and Liberia to the southeast. It has a special significance in the history of the transatlantic slave trade. It was a departure point for thousands of West African captives. The capital, Freetown, was founded as a home for repatriated former slaves in 1787. It's a predominantly Muslim nation, though with a large Christian minority. Sierra Leone is ranked as one of the most religiously tolerant nations in the world. Sierra Leone is rich in diamonds and other minerals, but the trade in illicit gems, known as blood diamonds, had a big role in funding conflicts. In 2002, with the help of Britain, the former colonial power, and a large United Nations peacekeeping mission, Sierra Leone emerged from a decade of cruel civil war that had caused at least 75,000 deaths.
Funded by the European Commission, the project implemented by Concern Worldwide in the Petit Fouchain village facilitates women in accessing small business loans through self-help groups and helps them acquire skills and knowledge to run these enterprises.
If women are encouraged in the community, even at household level, more production they will realize more production at the end of the day in their farming activities.
In the language of the Temne tribes in Sierra Leone, Miogbo means try and God will give. Miogbo is a women's group in the Petit Fouchain village located in the Tonkolili district of Sierra Leone. Concern Worldwide believes that the poor must have access to microfinance services to move out of poverty.
So these women used to break this palm nut with their hands, and it's time consuming and times it's dangerous because they hit their fingers while breaking the palm nut. So they asked Concern to help them get a palm nut cracker.
The women of this community, these women decided to come together, form a group and start, some activities such as rice farming and plantations and of live trees and other activities.
So at the end of the season, they collected 20 bushels of seed rice, which they cultivated. They cultivated 2 bushels at that time. And the remaining 18 bushels, they gave it out for loan to group members.
And we see that these women have a better understanding on the need to conserve their natural surrounding. And the construction of eco-stove, for example, is a good example of an environmental awareness demonstrated by these women, because these eco-stoves they are constructed will help them reduce impact, pressure on the remaining forest ecosystem, that exists here.
Government normally gives some funds to council for working groups. So if you are not registered with them, you will not be part of it. And government also give seed rice and other working tools, even animals.
Educating women about their right for a good farming, to a farming output to be successful, you need to pay respect to women. You need to empower them. I mean, men, again, I will lay emphasis on this. Men in Africa, we need to change our attitude. Women are not tools. Women are not slaves. Women are there as companions. Women are there as fellow, partner in development. They should be regarded as such. And I strongly believe, that when women, which are the most vulnerable group in Africa, when they are empowered, when their education standard is enhanced, believe me, changes will occur in Africa. I have no doubt about that.
Now, the women of Petifuchain village have become capable of generating their own independent income. Now, their families are less vulnerable to droughts, and their children have better access to education and healthcare.
This is a Creole saying, which says, for better farm business, tap for seize advantage from woman. For a good outcome of farming, stop exploiting women.
There is an obligation, there is a duty, and that to be righteous, to be moral, to be spiritual, must mean making a difference to those people who desperately need some help to make their life a little better.
And of course, there are other cases where some people are winning and some people are losing. This is life. But in terms of economic cooperation, I think that today, given the maturity of a number of partnerships around the world, we have always to look for win-win situations.
Sarebbe molto importante che invece ci sia un obbligo, un vincolo con i fondi maggiori nei progetti, perché poi i grandi media, no, possono raccontare. È un'operazione di trasparenza su come sono spesi i soldi, ma poi ha di impatto molto più ampio di quelli che sono i risultati.
E volevo un po' riportarti allo spirito con la quale abbiamo cominciato. Poi abbiamo chiesto alla RAI di lavorare con noi. Era stato difficile per te convincere la RAI per entrare in questa collaborazione? È stato difficile?
No, direi di no. Era un progetto talmente bello e interessante che sono andato sul velluto. Appena l'ho proposto l'hanno immediatamente fatto proprio. E da allora la gran parte del mio tempo l'ho spesa su questo progetto.
And I think that the media does reinforce stereotypes, and you have to be very cautious as a journalist not to do that.
The village of Ain El Tine is located in Latakia, one of the poorest provinces of Syria. The high level of male migration